This just in. Have you ever noticed that if you forget a single form on your annual tax return, the government threatens to liquidate your entire life savings? But when a giant tech monopoly illegally harvests the data of 1 billion people, they just shrug and pay the fine out of petty cash. According to a brutal new analysis of corporate legal strategies circling in tech circles, the justice system is effectively a two-tiered subscription service. Let's break down how trillion-dollar monopolies handle regulatory penalties using financial scale, legal endurance, and systematic complexity. It turns out that a $2 billion penalty for a company like Meta is not actually a punishment. It's just the accepted cost of doing business. Everyone assumes that the strict new privacy laws are designed to keep the massive tech giants in check. But the reality is significantly more sinister. Before you spend thousands of rands trying to ensure your website is perfectly compliant, we need to look at why big tech actually loves complex regulations and why your authentic human reputation is the only legal defense you actually need to survive. Okay, but let's start at the beginning. Why do tech giants treat billions of dollars like pocket change? Because a massive fine is just a highly predictable business expense. For a $1 trillion corporation, a $1 billion fine represents a tiny fraction of their quarterly revenue. When regulators slap a €2 billion penalty on a company like Meta, the media treats it like a massive victory for consumer rights. But inside the corporate boardroom, they are celebrating. That fine is a completely predictable expense compared to the multi-billion-dollar tax savings and massive market share they gained through their non-compliance activity. Large firms literally budget for these punitive costs in advance. They run the math and realize it is significantly cheaper to break the law and pay the tickets than it is to actually build a compliance system. But what happens when they decide they do not even want to pay the ticket? How do they actually avoid paying the bill? They do that by weaponizing time and massive armies of corporate lawyers. When a small service business gets fined, they panic and pay it immediately to avoid being shut down. When companies like Amazon, Google, and Apple get fined, they launch an extended war of legal attrition. They fight the fines for years across multiple international jurisdictions, burying the regulators in endless appeals until the government eventually gives up or settles for pennies. Meanwhile, small businesses are incredibly vulnerable to this exact same legal bullying. Over 51% of companies with under $10 million in revenue report suffering significant operational damage from patent trolls and frivolous litigation. For a small business, a single lawsuit can force you to divert all your managerial and financial resources away from growing your business just to survive the court battle. But if the legal system is so thoroughly rigged, why do politicians keep passing new regulations? And why are regulations secretly designed to protect monopolies? This is because compliance is a fixed cost that absolutely destroys small startups. When governments introduce incredibly complex data and cybersecurity regulations, they claim they are protecting the consumer. In reality, they are building a massive competitive moat around big tech. Navigating these strict rules is incredibly time-consuming and expensive. A massive monopoly can easily absorb the cost of hiring a 50-person compliance department. A small local agency cannot. This creates a massive complexity premium that actively scares away investors. When new regulations drop, investors stop funding small startups because they fear the little guys will struggle to meet the strict rules. The regulations meant to punish big tech end up completely protecting them from new competition. So how exactly do you survive in a market designed to crush you? And could trust be your only legal strategy? Well, you cannot afford to outspend a corporate troll. You do not have $1 billion to set aside for legal fees, and you cannot afford to hire an army of lawyers to drag out a dispute for 7 years. Your only viable survival strategy in a highly regulated, highly litigious environment is to build such deep, undeniable trust with your clients that you never end up in a dispute in the first place. But if your marketing copy sounds like a cold, calculating, generic corporation, your clients will treat you like one. They will assume you are trying to squeeze them, and they will run to the regulators the second something goes wrong. You must rely on radical transparency and authentic human connection. You have to strip the generic corporate jargon out of your funnels immediately. To help you with that, you can get my 5-minute marketing fix. It helps you identify the exact spots where your messaging sounds like a shady tech monopoly, so you can replace it with the undeniable clarity that actually builds bulletproof client trust. Stop losing sales today. Download the fix in my description below, or go to strategicmarketingtribe.com/fix and get it for free. But what about you? When did a massive tech platform arbitrarily punish you with absolutely zero common sense? I'll go first. I was locked out of my entire Facebook account for a full week for violating community guidelines. The highly offensive, dangerous content that triggered the ban, a completely wholesome family photo of my baby nieces in their nappies. Okay, your turn. How did Big Tech's algorithm completely fail you? Let me know in the comments. I'm Vicky Sidler from the Strategic Marketing Tribe, and I post helpful news updates for small businesses every day.